Working on it. So you can really get that credit you've been talking about. Well, some people with greatness inside him. That's when my son is mocking me on stage.
That is funny, man. I was saying that.
Pay well for that.
I know you are.
You just in the show? You just in the show? No, I gotta go there on Saturday. I mean, Friday. Next Friday.
5 a.m.
Next Friday at 7. I gotta go there and then right after that, I gotta go over to the next time. I'm waiting for tomorrow. I might have to find a new barber. Huh? I might have to find a new barber. Well, I'm getting like how you cut the next time. Get into my judge a little bit. I'm gonna have that. It's hard to find, but yeah.
And the prices, man. Brothers are charging. I need to be paying for dinner. Something. You know, it's true. I know. I'm in that range. They be trying to charge. I don't even have that much clear shit.
You gotta do some segues so you can bring them in. Yeah, I need one of that. I need one of that. You can cut it. You got the whole skill set, man. You do need to do a version where you sing. Your voice turn into the sing. You can do it. Welcome to Above Average Black Men. Yours truly, Chris Bender singing.
Christian, as always, here to empower, inspire, and uplift the community. Kevin Bender here to remind you guys to like, follow, subscribe, share, comment.
Let's get it. Yeah, man. So, hey, I got some news I want to share first. I'm going back to the net radio, man.
Yeah?
Yeah, somebody asked me to take my show, the name you mocked, Eccentric Positive, and they did purchase the radio station, so I'm going to be on their radio station, man.
Well, congratulations. You like let us know that.
So I'm happy you guys are my guests, man, so we can kind of
definitely down. Where, is it home based or you
yeah,
go to a studio?
No, I can do it from home. I can do, and we can pre-record.
Even better.
So we can do it anytime.
When does it start?
Anytime. I gotta send them some other details. I gotta record. I gave them the layout. We want to give it to them verbally, so you can put it into a package. So yeah, and y'all can show up when y'all want to show up.
Congratulations.
Yeah, show up when y'all want to show up, man.
And I love a good previously recorded.
Yeah, why do you?
Right, that was your chance. You've been working these applause and other different sound effects. That was the perfect. We get a lot. There we go. There we go. Yes. Accentuate the positive.
Yeah, man.
More positive that we need.
Yeah, man. And it's cool because it ties into the dark times.
Yeah, that's what I was
so. And the show is going to cover. It's going to be a plethora of things.
You might as well start your own station. You got like 6 shows.
We can talk about sports. We're going to talk about relationships. We're going to talk about politics. We can talk about everything, man. It's the same radio show I had before. We can just go at it, man.
Hear me out. Start a channel. Pass your key. Right? All your videos. But you can do different lives any day of the week. This week, marriage. Or not even week. This day, marriage. This day, you can do parenting.
No, I don't have time.
This day. I'm just saying. That's
I'm
you have 6 shows. That's what I'm saying. Like what? Put them all to a channel.
Now you exaggerating. Y'all together. All y'all. He started. He said, you've been telling jokes about me on stage, man. Did you know that?
Yeah, I think that's all.
And you didn't say anything?
You gonna be right.
You didn't say anything?
I'm supposed to snitch.
You gotta know.
That's hard.
Who actually did you saw it yourself?
Your mom showed it to me. My mom was like, "Yo, did you see this?"
Did she laugh?
She waited to see if I was gonna laugh. But I know she laughed. But she was, you know how somebody wait to see if you gonna laugh before they laugh. Well, I thought it was funny. You know, I mean, language, yeah. But you know, I gotta get used to that part. No, I just gotta get used to that part. But I thought it was funny. You know, but I do want to go to records that was inaccurate.
It's jokes.
But I just want to point out that but some people take the jokes and think that's true. So I gotta point out just for our listeners, it's inaccurate.
That's actually the funny part of the joke. People think the AI is true.
No, man, but yeah. Well, yo, this is great. This show is going to tie in. So this is a great show. We're going to talk about racial undertones and implicit biases.
Mm-hmm.
You know, in sports and society. And I kind of want to start somewhere else first because I've been having this conversation about the N-word. You know, somebody was like, "Hey, yo, what's up, man? Who you talking to, bro?" You know, back up a little bit. You know, so we began to have this discussion about what it really means. So I discovered a couple of things. One thing I discovered that people don't understand what the original word means, even older people, that they don't get it. The second thing is they do, like you say, they think it's this now dear, you know, this new term of endearment. And the third thing really blew me away is some of them just don't care. Yo, so it was interesting, man. So, like I started asking, you know, what does it mean? And they gave me their version, you know, the Kanye West version, which is ironic because then they started talking about Kanye West. But you know, the term nigger was intended to demean us, to belittle us, to label us as being less than, you know, being inferior. For people who don't look us to feel superior, to literally break us down, dehumanize us. You know, it wasn't meant for endearment. And my thing about, like I was telling them, it feeds into what we're talking about because if a Caucasian person hearing that, they're not hearing it the way we say it, especially the older ones. Now, maybe some of the young ones in your generation might know the difference.
It's an A,
but but when that word is being said, to imagine Donald Trump being the one, you know what he thinks, and that's just I'm just and there's a lot of people just like him. And as we get into the sports thing, right, we're gonna see because there's people in sports who I don't even realize. I don't think they realize they have implicit biases. I don't. I just think they just believe they operate normally.
Yeah.
Like I was just real quick. I was listening to this pastor, and it was to me one of the worst things a pastor could say, but that's his choice. And basically, he was trying to defend Donald Trump. Black guy trying to defend Donald Trump. And his reason behind it was, which I thought was crazy. His reason behind it was, when man appoints leaders, God don't like it. When God appoints leaders, man don't like it. So he was basing Trump on that men don't like him because I'm thinking of myself, you got to be crazy because, and without getting deep, it says love God with all your heart. The second is love your neighbor like you love yourself.
You saying God appointed Trump?
Oh yeah, there's a large population of people who believe it.
He did that to show us that we need to be better.
Some people say that, but some people say that he was put there because they believe he's doing a great job. But it kind of leads into what we're talking about.
He's here to show us that it's a mirror of what the society really has.
It's right with the Lord, y'all.
No, but again, we got to be careful. And I don't make them sure with it because God allows things to happen. He didn't put them there. If you go back first built based on the Old Testament, I know you didn't, but they said, but God didn't want us to have a king. We don't want a king. Folk decided they wanted a king, and we have freedom, and in freedom we voted for that dude. Not we, but you know what I mean.
No, so, I get it. I mean, because ultimately it is. I mean, the United States it is a we thing now. We all live in it.
But it's funny you should say this because as we go into this over the weekend, I was watching another special. Michael Vick produced a special on black quarterbacks.
Mm-hmm.
And he talks to Warren Moon, Doug Williams. He does. Jalen Hurts when he had like a 2-minute part beginning, so I went maybe 5, but that wasn't cool. I didn't see Jalen Hurts. But they did. They didn't get rounded for it, but they talked about him. But it was funny because a lot of the stuff that they went through, they may not be going through it physically now, but mentally they hear the same stuff.
Oh yeah, it's always those undertones.
Yeah,
I think that's even.
But that's what I said. It was great that you said that.
Yeah, because I brought it up mainly. It's even this topic because of the Dawn Staley incident, like where I guess I don't know what coach or school that was, maybe Tennessee. But after the game, like she pretty much said everything that you could say about like just pretty much because they're black. Like, oh, they get the best talent from these places, and she got access to this, and da-da. Like just making it all other things than basketball.
Then you got beat. And and the funny thing about it is why I say sometimes they don't realize it because Tennessee and schools, they were top dogs for a long time, getting the best talent, getting the best players, having more money to spend. It's the same that people coming down on Deion now because he's bringing money to the school. Now they can compete financially, so it's interesting. But I think it goes back to this. And some black people deny it too. I think there's still a large number of Caucasian people out there who don't want to see us level the playing field. Yeah. It's okay as long as we can get close. But when it starts to level off, when you start to supersede or exceed what the expectations are, they got a problem with it. And nobody expected Dawn Staley to do that. She's done it at every level, but nobody expected her to do that. And there's a lot to be jealous of. She carried the flag in the Olympics. She won a gold medal. She played college basketball. She coached the tip. She's won it. She's kind of like
winning.
Yeah. She kind of like Jalen Hurts. All they do is win.
Like, how can you argue with that and like make it other than the fact that they win? When UConn, when they had
Gino,
LSU dynasty, LSU, right? Nobody was saying a word.
USC
making it about anything other than basketball, and they was getting the talent, to win the games. But I mean, I wanted to kind of take it back to like even more so why I wanted to have this discussion about sports and like because the bias has always been there. Yeah, I feel like ever since the idea of when we started playing sports from the Negro leagues to when they did integrate sports, like it was always we were just pure athletes. We couldn't necessarily think the game. It couldn't be that we were real kind of intelligent or just knew the game at another level. It's still there when it comes to with coaching. Like you don't see a lot of coaches sometimes like getting their face shaked specifically in the NFL.
What's name just got in trouble for that, Ryan Clark.
What?
Because he was saying how he felt like, and he backed it up, that the treatment between African American coaches and Caucasian coaches is totally different. Like the extent to that Caucasian coaches can get in trouble versus African American coaches, he said it's crazy because he named these white coaches who did the same thing the coach from Michigan did, and they got a job, and they didn't get fired right away. This dude, they fired him right away. And now the lady come back and say half the story ain't true.
I was about to say information about that.
Yeah, it's
are you serious?
But
wow.
But they fired him right away.
Yeah.
So he was talking about that, how it's set up differently. But I think a lot of it comes from if you go back and we start with the quarterback position. We when they weren't smart enough. And same thing, they probably feel the same way with coaches. We're not good with X's and O's. We can get out there and follow instructions, but when it comes to being creative, when it comes to leadership, they just never felt like we had those qualities. And if you look at it, Doug Williams won the Super Bowl, broke every record in the Super Bowl. Up until him and after him, every quarterback went to Disney. He didn't get a commercial. He didn't get a commercial, man. And I would go to Jalen Hurts. They don't like it because everybody on the team says what a good leader he is, but they question him because he doesn't lead the way they think he should lead.
Yeah. He's always trying to find and knock it down. But I think just again the idea of this bias that we're talking about, I know it comes certainly at the sports level, but I think we brought this up because of coaches. So like with the Dawn Staley's and just at that level, do you see
John Chaney used to get it?
And that's what I was going to say. Do you see it getting better? Like from that idea of John Chaney to now, or do we still much of the same? Because I feel like we've been worse. Right. I feel like that's the strange thing about it to me is we talk about this all the time and it's still just happening.
I'm gonna tell you why I think it's worse. It's always been happening. I think now people feel more free to say it in public. I think behind closed doors, people felt that way. Like John Chaney took some at-risk players. Aaron McKee, Eddie Jones, who went on to become pretty good basketball players. Mm-hmm. And when he did the Prop 48, everybody talking like a dog. Then everybody started registering players. Everybody started taking players who couldn't make it in the first year. Now you don't even hear people talking about it anymore. But there were people saying the same stuff. That's the only reason Temple was competitive and so forth. And the same thing with Dawn Staley because no other black woman has done it. no other black woman, Chris, is coming to the sports, and it didn't take her long to turn the program around. Which I don't understand what they were saying, because she recruited players before they were winning. You don't start winning with players you have like that. You've been losing. She started recruiting players, and
She was at Baylor before, right?
no,
I
Yeah.
don't.
Well,
Wish
I'm
I
I'm pretty sure she was coaching at Baylor.
I don't think I forget. I don't think it was Bill.
Look
I know
it
she
up.
started at Temple. She started at Temple. But it was funny because I was watching. They showing these shorts now about NBA players, how they chose their colleges,
Mhm.
and it was funny because they had Alonzo Mourning on there, and he wasn't the first one. They were talking about he had all these schools to go to, and he went to Georgetown. And he said something though that it does make a difference when you, because he said all other coaches came in, they were promising him all this stuff. Didn't read the room. They just figured the parent was poor because I know he was adopted, but Alonzo Mourning, all this stuff. John Thompson came in there and said, "Look, hey, we're gonna take care of him. We're gonna make sure he graduated. Everything that he knew the family needed, not to be robbed." So culture does matter.
Mhm.
It does matter. And I think too many times you have coaches who think guys just want to play, so he'll take anything, especially black guys. Or I go a step further when they were talking about Shador Sanders and what's the guy on the show with LaShawn McCoy, the quarterback, the one we were chasing. And he made a comment. Him and Archer made a comment that I thought was the dumbest thing I ever heard, because he was rich. They didn't know if he was going to take football serious. They didn't know if he was had a passion for it.
What did they say about it?
Shador, when they said that's why Shador fell. Because people didn't know if he was serious because he was making more money when he came in.
That's actually the example.
They said about Trevor Lawrence, and he still went number one.
But they didn't make a big deal. Josh Allen's family had
What's
money.
the dude?
Yeah.
Drew Rosen or whatever?
Yeah.
Josh Rosen.
Josh Rosen.
Yeah.
Went to Arizona. Same thing.
So
He still was drafted high. But it's from Johnny Manziel, another guy. It's guys that come from money and still be good.
But that's the implicit bias, because they figure black folk, when they get money, they get lazy. They don't come out and say it, but that's what they think.
Or I think he was too boisterous. Like, I think about it. Shador.
Well, I don't know. I'm going by what he said. I'm going by.
Yeah,
I'm not getting into why he didn't get drafted. I'm going by what he said. What they said. The point they brought up was that he felt like coaches kind of felt, and they're guessing too, but they felt like coaches kind of felt like he didn't need it bad enough. He didn't want it bad enough. Like, basically, if you come from the ghetto and this is your way out, you're gonna give me 100%.
Right.
But if you don't come from the ghetto, you may not be giving me 100%.
It is definitely interesting because I think about times where I've heard where guys are multi-sport athletes and it's the question, do you really love the game? But then there's another type of way, he's a great athlete, just can do it all. Like, it's just like very subtle ways that
no one questioned that Danny Ainge was basketball.
Right.
Or John Elway loved football.
Which is ironic because you brought up Deion Sanders. That's how the whole Tim McCarver Deion Sanders thing got started.
They did that to Anthony
because he was playing both ways. He was playing baseball and he flew from one team to the other team. Mm-hmm. And the ironic thing about it that nobody talked about, he must love the Braves because it was football season. He wasn't under contract with the Braves. He was on his football contract. So, but I think being black in this country still creates issues for a lot of people. And I think, the problem with it is we're in a time now because of Agent Orange that people have always been like that. It's just more, they feel more free to say it now. You know what I mean? They don't fear repercussions now. They think they can say it and it's okay to say it. And they believe a lot of their friends think the same way. In a lot of cases, they do.
I mean, that's what I said before. He is ultimately a mirror of this country. Like, I think.
Oh, definitely.
He speaks to what ultimately has been undertones everywhere, for the longest time. And now it's just got more and more blatant. It's got more and more.
Yeah, but racism is never going to go away because nobody wants to talk about it, and until you begin to sit down and have an honest, open dialogue about it, on an ongoing basis, and swallow your pride and be able to take some lumps.
Listen,
it's never going to go away because I was involved in a conversation with a church, in a multicultural church, and when it got down to the nitty gritty, when somebody, all facts, no speculation, or no, they wasn't making stuff up. All facts backing up when they pointed out how white Christians had a lot to do with slavery. Mm-hmm. Then all of a sudden they shut it down. There was no more, But even during the process, the people who needed to be there in leadership weren't required to be there. It was more black folk on the golf. So I say that because it's still a topic that either people they have an implicit bias in them and they don't realize it.
Speaking of call, I don't know if y'all saw that video. It had to come out within the last week. Some university, a woman was on the Zoom call. She said like if you teach them how to use the back door thing, or they're too dumb to know.
No, they were already taught how to use the back door.
And she said they're too dumb to know they're not in a good school.
Yeah. And she was on a Zoom call.
Yeah.
But this goes back to what Chris was talking about. They feel free now, and she automatically assumed that people agree with her. And I think because I do think there's
a subset. I think what's even more scary about that is she is amongst our population, you know, she works with our youth and is supposedly an educator, you know. So right, and that's what is disturbing and sickening is that one, she has those bias and she's actually responsible for educating those people that are in that building. And that's just a caveat, you know what I mean? Because I don't know, it's just weird because that's just tip of the iceberg, honestly. But that's one teacher probably out of millions across this country.
She was a professor.
Yeah,
So it's like you've been through years of teaching.
But you know what? I think that's where the implicit bias is coming in because I think some people don't even realize they have racial issues. They don't. And they for some because they think it's normal. They think it's normal. They think if you grew up in a city where everybody was like that, behind doing stuff like that, you know, and then people. I was encouraged by people the way some people on the call, you know, they wasn't like, hey, Susan. They were like, yo, you saw the face. They were mortified. People was grabbing their faces.
But it was mortified, like, you were supposed to wait until we
got to But I think because of that, I think some people don't realize it because it's okay now. You know, you look on TV and they kill a black person, and everybody comes up with an excuse.
Mm-hmm.
You know, he should have this, he should have that, he should have this. They come with all excuses. You know, flip it around. You know, it's murder. I mean, so I think it's been ingrained in so many people, and some people don't realize they have it. And it's like when a person always says, the same church I was at, the pastor, every time he told the story, he had a black friend. Now, to me, that's a sign.
I didn't say his name once.
We knew the guy's name, but it was always the same person.
Let's call him Judas.
We knew the guy's name, but it was always the same person. It wasn't like that. And anytime you say you keep saying you got a black friend, you know, and come on, man, you know, something is wrong if you only got one black friend, and you got to keep saying it, you know. So I think but it's been accepted for so long. Now people can come out and say it behind closed doors, you know. Jimmy the Greek got busted because he's the same thing. I don't know. Jimmy the Greek used to be when sports betting first took off. He was on TV. He was an announcer, big announcer, and they got him. You know, didn't turn the mic off, and somebody asked him why is black athletes better? He said because they were bred that way. They got bigger thighs. He said they got bigger thighs and they got bigger muscles, but they have smaller brains, so they don't think the same way. And this guy you talking about watching football had his shows on football and everything stuff. Or I go further. Look at Turning Point. What made you think the NFL, who is probably 95% minority, was going to side with you against minorities? That's just dumb. But they did. They thought, like the NFL is trying to go global. They win all these other countries. You know, so I talking
about the halftime show.
For the halftime show. Yeah. So what made you think that was even going to remotely happen? But they did it.
The ego, absurdity.
Well, the artists they chose weren't even good either. Like,
listen to Kid Rock.
That's
interesting too.
Yeah, I heard it recorded at that big.
That's interesting too because they got Kid Rock, man, like this pedophile. So I'm thinking to myself, like, yo, this is getting crazy.
Allegedly,
what? He sings about him on his song. He like young girls. It was funny because they started playing. They played his song how he liked young girls. So when you sing about it.
He's saying younger than him.
No. He specifically described what he's talking about. He's talking about teenagers.
I don't listen to Kid Rock.
No, I don't either. What happened was they Turning Point was saying that's why he was banned in the NFL, and then somebody came out and they played the song. So, but it goes back, but then race plays into that too. Because, for instance, I say this all the time: if you are an African American, you know, you're arrogant, you're cocky. You know, but if you're white, you're confident. You know, if you're a minority African American, you know, you crazy. If you're white, you know, you're eccentric. So it's always been two set of rules. I think now with the rise of social media and because of what's coming out of the White House, people feel comfortable.
Another thing is people younger than us take everything as a joke. You know what I mean? Like they'll think it's funny to say these things. Think it's funny or edgy or to troll, racist and stuff like that. I don't have it all either.
I'm thinking about again. I'm talking to adults.
Trolling.
Again, I'm talking to adults. Adults who don't know their history, who don't have a clue about the history, who don't know what the N word traditionally means, don't know where it came from, or don't understand when they think it's okay, because they asking them to Hispanics for their papers and stuff. And it wasn't too long ago we had to have papers. I had to break it down to somebody today about the police department. Well, because it's the law. I said, original police were slave catchers.
Yes.
Yeah. So, but it was the law. So don't tell me because it's the law is okay, because they say that they chasing down these minorities who don't belong to the country, breaking the law. So, but again, if it happened to a Caucasian person, then it changes. So it's big. Yeah, it's big.
So I think what we need to do though to start breaking down this bias, calling it out when it happens.
But see, that's where the courage comes in. Because some reporter should have called her out in that press conference.
Excuse me?
The
reporter or even the person being asked the question.
Somebody
should. I think
somebody should have said,
"What you mean by that?"
Somebody said, "You won a lot of ball games with recruits that you got to no one else could get." But again, it's not knowing your history, because the same athletes who they condemn, they brought them to their schools because they couldn't compete. And it's a book. I keep plugging this book out to get a commission. $40 million slave, and it talks about how when they would scrimmage, when the white schools would scrimmage with black schools, the black schools would kick their tails. Like Eddie Robinson and Grambling would spank Alabama. So finally decided, we got to get some of them.
We got to get some.
That's how we compete.
Those are my brothers.
Because they wanted to compete and they wanted the best product. So they started letting them in. They didn't let them in because they had 4.0 averages, because they wanted to be doctors. They let them in because they could play sports.
Great athlete.
And what happened was more and more started to go. So it depleted the talent in the HBCUs. Well, at that time, the black colleges, they called it. So the talent, but you had a run there where a lot of those guys were going to the NFL. But even then, the quarterbacks, they were turning into receivers. They were turning into all other kind of players, because they said they weren't smart enough to play quarterback. Quarterback or center, they couldn't play.
I think what's even interesting about us having these conversations is the timeline of all of these things. Like how it really ain't that far off, or like people that have lived there or experienced it are still kind of here. Like we're in the midst of it.
Civil rights passed in 1965. It probably didn't take shape until 1968. It's not that long. I was alive.
That's all right. So that's
alive.
The point here is that like you and other people's parents around our age, like they experienced this and grew up in this, or not that far removed from it.
But this takes me back to the name.
And they like to pretend like it's been eons ago.
There was a time when we couldn't, like now, it's funny because you start to hear more and more the stories where these restaurants are denying service to African Americans or whatever. Making them wait extra long, everything. But go back,
these weird dress codes.
Yeah.
They just changed the game. It's still there.
Or you still hear stories, about athletes who go to buy cars. They don't go and they dressed up and everything, and people just don't pay attention to them. They shove them, they just ignore them. But a white guy come in and look like he just fell off the thing, and everybody's in his face.
It is. I did that. I can't say it's because they're black anymore, so I'm gonna figure out different ways to say.
Well, it is.
You can't. But you can't.
Well, they do it because they say they think you can't afford.
Aren't good enough.
They think you can't afford it. Is what the lines you start to hear. Well, this person didn't look like. Well, what did it look like? I remember when I was playing basketball off the main line, and we played with a bunch of doctors, and they would drive up in their Porsches, their Saabs, BMWs, all that stuff. But they would wear canvas chucks, the high top chucks, and the wool sweatpants. So outside the car, they never looked like a doctor. And they would walk in the gym and nobody would say a word. We walked in the gym and we got our stuff on, which was backwards. What game you playing tonight? What group you on? Yeah. So, it's just interesting how the color of your skin still matters. They try to slice it and dice it, and to your point, they come up with different things, but it still matters, man. It's like you go in the store, I haven't happened too recently because the last time it happened to me, I said something. People following you around the store, man, and, white guy still up the store on the other side of the store. And they walking behind you, following you, man. It's just so race matters. The difference is now one, social media, and two, our president has made it acceptable. Yes. Our president has made it almost cool. And then nobody is, to your point, who in his party stands up to him? Nobody. You got black people in this party who think it's cool. You know, the lady, I saw the thing the other day, this lady, she's the leader of Blacks for Trump, and now she's complaining. You know, I mean, but he told you what he's going to do.
That's actually funny to see them coming up. They're like, yeah, I think he is racist now. What was it that gave it away?
I do think that it is difficult. I think a lot of people are trying to hold on to these biases because they know a lot of them aren't true. I feel like it gets proven more time passes.
And I don't think I agree with you. I don't think it's so much that they don't want them to be true. I think it's so much that
like quarterback.
Yeah, I think they don't want to relinquish what they think is control. You know, what they think is control, man. It's like
hold on to that power.
Yeah, it's like when blacks started playing hockey and they throwing bananas and stuff on the ice and everything. Come on, man, it's a hockey game. Black people start hockey. Yeah, but they don't in the United States yet, because it was slavery. They went to Canada, they put it back over. But it's funny because they playing hockey, they helping your team win. So why would you do that? And but because like you said, I think they want to hold on, they want to be in charge, and two, sport. Yep. Mm-hmm. And they don't, and they probably figures that other than golf, is probably one of the last sports.
I mean, but what's actually. Funny is like you hear about some of these things jokingly, the violent thing, or like this idea of like basketball, we can't play basketball anymore. Like you hear white people saying like they took that, and it's only a matter of time till they come take.
But if
you hear it in the jokes,
well, if you know your history, it's funny because I was watching a thing with and it's a good documentary about the ABA, and it talks about a lot of what you see now in the NBA. Came from the NBA, and some of it I didn't know, some I did know, because the NBA was still walking the ball up the floor. They were literally walking the ball, throwing the ball up the floor. They weren't athletic. They weren't athletic at all. And then you got the ABA guys taking off with the foul line. Guys finger rolling. Guys shooting the ball. Shooting 3 pointers before 3 pointers. And so it changed the whole game. It changed the whole game. But people won't give them credit for that, because had it stayed the way it was, who's gonna go pay watch that?
Yeah, he made a layup without using the bag.
But it's the same thing with Little League Baseball. People don't understand the history. It was. People understand. It was much of a financial reason, as well as in the big house when they put in Jackie Robinson. Jackie Robinson wasn't the best player in the league. He probably had the best temperament. He probably looked, he didn't look country like the rest of them. He was gonna come in the suit. He wasn't gonna come in, but.
I think he was well traveled. He was in the army.
He had the best temperament.
Yeah, he was in the army,
and he had to look, because the rest of them guys, because they worked, but they made money because they were the baseball, the regular baseball league was trying to figure it out, because these guys work full-time jobs, so they could only play late afternoon night games. The major leagues couldn't get anybody to come to a night game, but you would go to the night games of the Negro League and it's jam packed. Nobody ever thought, because these guys work full-time jobs on that.
Gotta work.
Yeah, I gotta go to my real job. But he looked at but again, it changed baseball for the better. It changed baseball for the better. You will never hear people talk about that. Mm-hmm. So I think, back to Deborah's point, I think they just, in your suit, they want to hold on, man. They don't want to be the minority. It's just like, a white girl said this to me, right? And she was my friend, and I laughed. I shouldn't laugh. I think she was the friend that laughed. She says, it's tough being a white person now. And I started laughing. She was like, why are you laughing? I said, because what do you mean by that? And she was saying all the stuff ICE is doing, everything like that. Yeah, but they're not doing it to you. Because people were blaming white people. But that's how some of them think like that.
That's
bad for me.
Damn, go to Starbucks.
It's so tough. We're just causing a ruckus.
Well, on the nutshell, you see the young couple that got fired from this fast food joint because they refused to serve. A guy came in with a mega hood on.
Oh, it was a Smoothie King.
Smoothie King.
Yeah. So this dude and this girl came in. Yeah, like a MAGA hoodie. They refused service. because she said the girl behind the counter, she didn't build a company. I mean, it's not a hate. It's not a discrimination or anything though. It's not a protected group.
But they called it discrimination. They fired her, so she's back on sue and get paid.
Yeah, it's not discrimination.
For her and her husband. Yeah.
That just started something.
Dangerous.
Yeah, that is dangerous though.
That started something dangerous. Now you're gonna have these people backed by President Trump giving them free Smoothie King for the rest of their life.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but I think Smoothie King, I don't know how many black people go anyway. I think they may take a hit, but no, I just think racism has become normal. It has become.
Man, that's wild.
How many times you see at a basketball game where they got to stop the game because the fans using the N-word?
They think it's cool.
Yeah, but how many times?
Or like try to get under your skin, like
I know there's other ways, but how many times you want to stop the game?
It's to make a major jumper.
And you see it, and I think the guys was handled it well. They haven't run up in the stands and stuff like that, but how many times, man, you or a player say their wife or their mom is sitting there and the person behind them is on, I mean.
But I did the same thing I just was kind of saying, like when you hear about it, sometimes you might have to confront it. Like Russell Westbrook, when they said something to him, man, like I'm all for it. When he be checking people, they be like,
whoa, I don't understand.
I'm all for Russ, but you kind of lose a little bit of your credibility when you wear a skirt to the game.
All right.
I'm just saying.
I just like how he handles.
I'm just saying. I like Russ.
Actually, his wife just got a DM from a fan because gambling getting out of hand.
Yeah.
By the way,
somebody DM his wife's are racist and crazy.
Very racist. Wow, like she ain't got nothing to do with it.
So,
but that's becoming more and more.
People be feeling emboldened.
Becoming more and more.
Now, would you say that in front of his face? No.
Of course not.
And that's where
it's just say the Luka Doncic.
Yo, it's just crazy.
You ain't saying that.
That's why I think we need to start confronting these people. When the bias comes out, address it. Like, man, that's interesting. Like, why would you say that?
But I'm gonna say is,
things
it's more powerful if somebody who looks like them confronted. I do agree with you that there needs to be love, but it's more powerful when all the people that say they're not, they need to confront it. They need to say, yo, what's wrong with you, man? Why they need to confront it too.
They won't until they see us do it.
I agree with you.
Then they're gonna be like,
yeah, that's right.
A good example. I don't know the Asian dude that usually gonna kill Tony. It's like an Asian dude who usually
with the glasses. Yeah.
Has a lot of jokes for black people. Asian community actually started getting on him about that.
Yeah, because
he's racist. Because they're starting to see it as really racist. I'm pretty sure he apologized.
Yeah,
I
think it's funny. That Austin, Texas is crazy. They think
it's about time, but there was a video going around of an Asian lady calling out the Asian population because when George Floyd and all the black people being killed, they never said anything. But then when the Asian hate came out, they wanted people to march with them. Because she's like, why do you think they're gonna march with you? You didn't do anything for them. So that's another thing why it grows, because people stay in their zone, their little pocket, and they're not calling me out. So I'm gonna keep to myself. I'm not gonna say anything. And that's another part of the problem, because when society ignores stuff, it picks up momentum. It picks up momentum. Like how many? And I'm not using this as an argument point, but it wasn't until the two white people got killed that people really started paying attention to what was going on with ICE. They never told you about the black people that got killed, or the Spanish people that got killed. Then all of a sudden, when the two white people got killed, it became an issue. Everybody started talking. Now we got to fight back, and now we got to do something. Yeah, they got to start rallying. This is crazy. But and it's funny because how they tried to win the momentum back again goes about the implicit biases. The first thing went to was lady sexual orientation. Like, you murdered her. What they got to do with that? She's a lesbian. Yeah, that was the first thing. They dug it out the first day. So it's so many things that makes this country disjointed, man. It is. And you're right. Nobody's calling out. And I said I wasn't going to say it, but the dude who talking about running for president, black guy, he's a perfect example. He's talking about Kanye. No, I ain't talking about Kanye. I'm talking about you know what I'm talking about. I'm not gonna say anything. I'm like, because I was watching the interview the other day.
People going in on him now.
Yeah, because he the stuff. I was watching the interview the other day. So he's being interviewed, and the guy he's being interviewed. So the guy says, "Well, do you think this still race is an issue in America?" He says, "I think racism still exists, but I don't think it's as bad as people say it is." So the guy, you can tell the guy's like, "Yo, what's up with you?" Well, what do you mean? why you can become it, and stop saying that because you can't. You know, you in a position where you got blessed, you making all this money. There's only one of you. Look around you, my brother. And the only reason you're there because you act like an angry black man. And you entertain people with that. But it's through his eyes, and that's always gonna be the person they're gonna put out there because he's gonna say the right thing. He's gonna make it okay.
I think that's always for a lot of people.
And you know who you
in
are.
Those positions and situations.
That's why I gotta say his name. If I say his name, it'll go viral. See, we'll be famous. You guys asked for this. That's all right. Let's go at it. If what you want. And then I gotta say, you'd be surprised what I knew.
And thank you for watching.
Nah, but I do think. I agree. I think racism has become. I think there's several factors. One, we don't teach our kids our history. You know, when I'm sitting talking to these kids, you talking about they didn't know who Shaka Zulu was. I thought everybody knew who Shaka Zulu was. They didn't know who Queen Sheba was. I'm thinking everybody knows who. These are famous people. These ain't, you know, they didn't know, man. Yeah, you talking to and they looking at you, but it wasn't adult. But there's adults who don't know.
People can barely tell time.
Oh, we did that too. I said, what's half fast? The whole class looked at me.
I got one. I had a coworker years ago. She was a little young, probably like 4 or 5 years younger. She tried to tell me, I asked her, so you know who the first black woman to fly a plane? She said Mary J. Blige.
I'm not surprised. I asked this group of kids. I said, what did Rosa Parks do? You know what they said? She wouldn't get off the back of the bus. I was like, what? Yeah, man. I said, no, you got an opposite. Unless the bus was backing up. But they don't know. So
they just thinking like, yo, we be sneaking onto the back of the bus.
That's why we sit in the back.
So I get it. I wouldn't have got off either.
Napoleon Hill said, if you don't know your history, then repeat it. There's a lot of people who is. I remember talking about Amistad. And I was a teacher talking, and I was in a room with somebody who was very educated.
You're talking to kids about these things?
Yeah, I was enlightening them, man.
I'm just saying.
Yeah, because thinking about Amistad. Let me just
told an 8-year-old me about it.
No, Amistad, the point you're making is that black people were sailors. So Amistad was the ship that they took over, and it became news because they actually didn't make it back. Because what happened was black people became pirates because they would take the ones who could do it would take over the ship. And they would sail to this island, Telegas, I can't think of the name of the island. It's an island, and it became an island for slaves. Mm-hmm. And it really became famous because they would try to go there to get the slaves, and the slaves would kick their butt every time. Because while the British soldiers, when they getting down on one knee and all that stuff, black folk fighting like black folk. They throw spears. They in the jungle. They're in the jungle. They hide in the jungle and stuff. Yeah, they set traps and all kind of stuff. And the British soldiers weren't used to that because they were used to fighting by rules. They used to fight. So yeah, they fire and then they stoop down. The next row step up and fire and stoop down. And I guess previously that people waited, but they were like, nah. We do that first road is stupid. We taking them out of road at a time. So they did, but people don't
so fast.
So I was telling them, but they didn't. Grown-ups didn't realize that black people were selling. So and the guy that was with me started laughing. So I said, well, what's so funny? He says, come on, man. I said, so you think they were under the boat, chained up, and they just came up and started selling the boat automatically? Think about that. They just,
let me drive.
Yeah. I can do this. No, we weren't sailors. But it's just but again, that's another reason why when you allow, and I link it to this because I know you got to get out of here on time. When you get to a place where you allow people to take your history away, when you okay with Trump trying to take the books out of school and plaques on everywhere, that's a problem because the less history you know about yourself, the more you believe that other people tell you.
We got to keep our history going.
Yeah.
It's on us to keep speaking to truth, and just being there to put our stories out there.
Like Independence Square, Independence Mall, that corner, corner. People don't understand that they sold slaves there. The slaves got off the boat and the waterfront, and they walked up. There's another story you didn't know, and I something negative against it, y'all be laughing at me. I don't know if it's true or not. My grandmother said how we became free was when they docked the boat. Our ancestors jumped off the boat, and they thought he drowned, but he wouldn't drown. That's how the freedom began in our family. Now I don't know how
he swam. Like he swam somewhere else.
No, they docked the boat right on the waterfront. You ain't got to swim. You just go down, go to the boat. Yeah, apparently, that's just it. And nobody knew who he was because they just bring him over off the boat.
That's why historically I just tell people I can swim just to survive.
No, I'm just saying.
My life on like
but see, now you got this is a whole nother show. Now you got grandparents 45 years old. They don't know any history, man.
Yes, I think that's
they hang out at the club with their daughters.
I think we need to continue to pass down our history stories like that. Like need to continue to pass down and resonate in our families. Like just knowing where we came from, what we came from. I'm sorry, but like I think that's important. I don't think enough families talk about that.
And I think that's and on my generation especially, I think we kind of dropped the ball because we got so busy trying to overcome. We trying to overcome that we forgot to share and tell it. Because my grandma, my mom, my dad would tell us stories, especially my grandma. She would sit me down and tell me stories about the sit-ins they did. When they would the wars, the count, and all kind of stuff like that. She was always telling me stuff like that. How they would pour stuff on and spit on them. And, they were instructed not to fight back. They had to kind of take it. The marches and I was a baby then, but I was down in D.C. to see Martin Luther King. I had a dream speech. I was a baby then, but they were like that. Then I remember when JFK got killed, when Martin Luther King got killed, the train came through North Philly, and it was a whole bunch of black people standing just to see the train go by with the coffin.
Things like that. Tell those stories, Even just
you believe that, but you couldn't believe I played the violin. I couldn't. That's terrible. Terrible. This is terrible.
I just said it's like LeBron.
This is terrible.
But no, I definitely think we need to get better at that, like just sharing and telling our story. Like I said, the idea that you guys grew up right at the tail end of the civil rights era and schools being integrated, all these things. But related to our sports bias, I feel like we're kind of closing in or wrapping up within the last few minutes. I don't think I can't see it changing. Like in terms of, do I see people doing it less? No, I just think it's going to continue to get inherited.
I think the players have to change. I think the players
and the media train
the players and the black sport trying
they train to say the right thing.
But see, they have.
That's why they don't like Shador.
And you say this a lot of times. Black sports writers, some of them have to stop saying stuff just to make moves.
Yeah.
Like Ocho, and everybody came down. I guess he thought he had more clout than he did. He at the All-Star game, he makes a comment and he takes a picture of Jalen Hurts sitting by himself. How Jalen Hurts elevates his teammates and everything. And then half the people at the All-Star game came at him. Did you ever think that people got up to go to the bathroom when he was the first person there? Because I talked to him, everybody said he was friendly talking to everybody. But he made it seem like that's why the Eagles don't like him and all kind of stuff. And he was saying stuff like it was factual.
Everybody wants to make something.
Yeah. It's just slow.
But that's what I mean. They got to stop that too. Like with Sean, he all of a sudden now, and you've been riding Jalen Hurts jockey all year long, but now you join the other team saying he's not this, he's not that, he's not this, he's not that. Mm-hmm. So they got to stop too. Yeah. It's like Michael Vick. Michael Vick guy, literally lost everything for dogfight. But you got people out here doing some crazy stuff
on an island.
Everybody looking the other way.
Brett Favre was still good out here.
There you go. Perfect example. Brett Favre.
Mark Sanchez.
You don't hear that anymore. You don't hear that anymore. But if you
I don't know what's happening with that.
But if you go back to like you said, he took money from welfare. He robbed welfare people to do that, and he's already a millionaire.
And it was the poor state.
Yeah.
Just double down.
Triple win.
Or you got the guy who took his place. Aaron Rodgers, who lied about getting shot. Remember COVID?
COVID shot. Yeah.
This guy's doing commercials to get paid for how you need commercials for the COVID shot and everything.
It's a lot of scandalous things. I'll just say that. But like the sports bias, I feel like this is a lighter topic. Yeah, I feel like kind of on, just kind of with all the things that's going on in society and the world.
But I think the only way you change it is, it has to be changed by players and sports fans.
I mean, even the fans too. Calling it out.
Well, I think the fans, it's hard to control. But when you can stop players from turning on players, and you can stop black sports writers from just dumping on black sports writers, I think it starts there.
But I think sometimes.
I think it starts there.
Yeah.
Oh, I gotta say this, off topic here, but I know how much you guys would love this. Ben Simmons, he was on an interview talking about how he wished he would have had a better understanding with the Philadelphia fans. He misses them. Ben's trying to come back to the red, white, and blue. I'm just telling you.
We traded Jared McCain.
Yeah, they get heat for that one. They get heat for that one, man. They been getting heat for that one.
Say that. He been.
They been getting heat for that one.
Yeah, Morty gotta go.
They say he was trying to get Kawhi for a trade.
You don't want to hear it. Don't care about that.
Yeah, you probably put that out.
Save my job. I tried to get Kawhi.
No guy's gonna miss 30. You only know Kawhi gonna be out of jail next year.
He's not gonna be in jail. He's just not going. He's gonna have to probably pay some fines, suspend some games. Which I don't think they should. That's even part of the bias right here. I'm just taking a deal that's being offered to me.
Yeah, he got
that came up by the Bombers, right? The Bombers should have been taking most of the blame on there. Why is Kawhi the scapegoat? He didn't say, you know what? I want you to start a show.
Right. I like trees.
You like trees? I like trees. You gotta go.
This is ridiculous. But as always, we appreciate y'all for tuning in. Hopefully this is a fun conversation to listen to.
Look for Situate the Positive. Coming your way soon. I'll post it, put it out there. And also the schoolyard.
The
schoolyard.
Subscribe, share. And we'll probably have another podcast.
Nah, my children's book. People like my children's book.
Oh yeah, no.
So I need you to take the book with you next time you tell a joke. I'll show them the book.
But I need to show them other photos. Not the book, not the finished product. That's a good one.
6 fingers.
6 fingers, no foot.
So when you gonna give a performance?
It's not your fault.